Hi, everybody, and welcome back. It's Nico here with Bear Down LA, recapping the victory over the Arizona Cardinals on Saturday. I do apologize. I was supposed to have this podcast in on Saturday, but I ran into a few problems, a few chores that I had to take care of, so I'm just now doing it. So hopefully if you're a Bears fan like me, you're always excited to get more information as soon as it comes in. So here I have a list of things that I want to talk about. One, we won the game, so that's always a positive. 2, the QBs. 3, running back. 4, the receivers. 5, our defense. Number 6 is Loggains. I want to talk a little bit about him. The Tennessee Titans that are coming up. And special teams, and that's about it. So let's get started. We won the game, so that was awesome. It was a good game to watch. It was kind of like a weird game because, you saw Glennon. He didn't look great. I'll talk a little bit more about that. It was just a weird game offensive-wise, kind of like Dowell scheme, the muff punt at the end. Well, not the muff punt, but the muffed recovery from Daniel Braverman. And that almost cost us the game. The good thing is we actually squeezed out a win, which is pretty good, and that's pointing in the right direction. We do have a lot of work to do, however. So let's get started with Mike Glennon.
It was really good to get that last drive together. Offense moved the ball real well, got the field goal, and then, the turnover wasn't a good thing, but the way we responded is more important. And I thought all of our guys, myself, everyone responded well, bounced back, and got that touchdown drive.
Describe what happened on that touchdown pass.
Yeah, it was just kind of a blitz zero look, and, Kendall ran a good route. And, in those situations, you just pretty much man-to-man, get the ball out of your hands, and receivers got to win, and that's what Kendall did.
What about with the pick?
Yeah, it was just a ball that should have thrown, not necessarily just a bad decision. But, like I said, good to respond and get that touchdown drive after that.
So Mike Glennon for the game was 13 of 18 for 89 yards. He did have that interception. I believe Mathau intercepted it, and it was to Kendall Wright. It was a horrible throw. I know he says he could have it. He wanted it back, but it was just a weird offensive kind of series from Glennon. He was moving the ball and. When you're in the red zone, you have to make sure that you convert those. You don't know how many opportunities, especially our offense and our receivers, how open they're going to be. It seems like they're having problems creating space, and that's eye-opening because we need to have a number one, and we don't have one yet. Now, I know Victor Cruz didn't play in this game, and he played really well the first game, so... we'll have to keep an eye on that. Mitchell Trubisky came in. He was 6 for 8, 60 yards.
I would say it was all right. Moved the ball down the field a little bit. We'd like to convert a couple more third downs, especially the early on drives. But we finished in the end zone, which is positive. And we came away with a W, which is what you want out of these games. So we just got to take away what we can and learn from the film and continue to get better. Yeah, definitely. Just trying to keep my eyes up as long as possible and trying to get the ball to receivers before I have to take the sack. Obviously, I wanted to take care of the football, which I did, but I think I can learn from watching film and just trying to get the ball out a little faster to help my own line out and just find the right guy when they're bringing pressure in my face. So it's just one of the things I'm going to have to continue to learn from, and I will. I guess I took a couple shots there, but that's football, and you're just going to have to keep working and keep playing. But that's what it is. I feel like once I get that first hit, then I'm really settled down. I'm in there and I'm ready to go, and that's how it was tonight. And after that, we were able to move the ball down the field and get going a little bit, but we'd like to start a little faster and convert more third downs, for sure.
Now, it's interesting to note that Mitch Trubisky has a 7.5 average per pass to Mike Glennon's 4.9. Now, that makes 2 TDs for Mitch Trubisky, 1 TD, 2 interceptions for Mike Glennon. not looking good. After this game, Mitch Trubisky had a 135.4 rating. Mike Glennon has a 78.2. Not horrible, but it's something to watch out for. Now, Mitch Trubisky wasn't as flashy as he was the first game. I still with the limited time that I saw and kind of the way they were moving the offense, I still saw good things in Mitch Trubisky, especially on that touchdown throw where Benny Cunningham was completely open. He didn't try to throw it in anywhere else, and it was a good design. Now we have this guy, Joshua Rounds, and last week I kind of criticized him because I was like, I don't really want to see him, but he actually looked pretty good this game. He was creating some holes. He was playing hard. Hopefully somebody picks him up and has him on the practice squad. The kid plays hard. He tries to bring it, especially in preseason. I kind of wish Dowell Loggains would have stuck more with what worked the first game, and you use what you have. Don't kill it till it backfires on you, and then you work from that. I mean, he's the offensive coordinator, but that's just kind of my take on it. I would have liked to see Mitch Trubisky, running a little more, not just staying in the pocket. It seemed like he was staying in the pocket a lot more. It was just kind of like to quell expectation, make Mike Glennon look good. Now the third preseason game is going to be the tail of the tape for Mike Glennon. I really want to see what he has. I think Mitch Trubisky's good. I mean, he's had a few potential interceptions, but at the end of the day, it's what do they actually call and what do they record on the stat sheet. And so he's been fortunate enough not to have. I believe one of his first throws was intercepted, or at least it looked like it was. I'm talking about Mitchell Trubisky, and then it was dropped, and so luckily we're able to move on from that. He was sacked. It's good to see that he can take a hit and keep getting up. We need to see that. So, hopefully the kid gets better. It wasn't as flashy, but he's still up in the hundreds on his passer rating, and that to me is on his QB rating, and that to me is a good telltale sign, and I think it could translate over to the actual game. Running back, Tarik Cohen had an amazing game. The kid is looking good, and he's looking like a steal at the fourth round. He's running with passion.
That's just something that I always wanted to prove. Being a smaller back, they always think like you're going to be the type of back to run out of bounds, you shy away from contact. So, I like to go the opposite way of that. Sometimes I like to deliver the contact and be the one delivering the blow. I'm very comfortable. My coach is really hard on me about pressing my tracks when I'm getting the ball, and then just following the O-line and whatever they do, make them right. Yeah, I felt like as a unit we were just clicking because the front five, the O-line, they were all on their guy. So then up to me, it's only one person to beat. When I break a tackle, then it's a big run.
He's been doing this through training camp. He doesn't shy away from contact, which is good to see. And we got a chance to see him in blocking a little bit, which is great. He's a powerful guy. That's something that I was looking to see. When they bring in those linebackers for blitzes and stuff. Now they were avoiding him, which meaning like he needs to try to go over and help somebody. I can't pinpoint the exact play, but I do remember seeing that. But wow, this kid is 7.0 average. His long was 25, and I believe he had like 70 yards or something in the first quarter alone, or first half. So it was good to see. I saw Kadeem Carey. He looked good as well, always looking good on special teams. Joshua Rounds looked good, although he had a 2.0 average. He looked really good on some runs. So overall, I mean, our running backs are looking good, and we're still missing our Jordan Howard, which I'm starting to really get worried about, because now he had a mini scratch to the cornea, and he was a late scratch. Jeremy Langford's still out. His possibilities of making this team are disappearing by the hour. So, we're going to have to look out at that, because Jeremy Langford wasn't horrible when he, the year before Jordan Howard got to Chicago. Moving on to receiver. The receiver position left a lot to be desired. Let's look at the receiving. Cameron Meredith, 2 receptions for 26 yards. His average is 13 yards. His long was 14. His long was 18. He had 4 targets. Tanner Gentry had 2 receptions for 19 yards. There was Freddie Stevenson, 1 for 17. Zach Miller, 2 for 17 yards. Benny Cunningham, 3 for 15 yards. Titus Davis, 1 for 14. All of them, well, Zach Miller had three targets. Benny Cunningham had 3. So did Titus Davis. Deion Sims had 1. Joshua Rounds had 1. Kendall Wright had 2. Actually 3, one of which went back for that interception that Tyrone Matthew had. Adam Shaheen had 1 target. Daniel Brown had 1 target. Kevin White had 3 targets. Kevin White, a pedestrian, 2 yards. That was it. 2 receptions, 2 yards. That is scary when a guy was your number 1 pick. And this guy is looking more and more like a bust every day. I mean, I hate to say it. I mean, I know he's coming off an injury, but he hasn't shown it all camp. He hasn't shown it all preseason. And it looks like he's just getting pushed around. This is one of the worst picks by Ryan Pace, in my opinion. Now, we still have to wait for the season to come in and see what he looks like. But so far, not liking the early returns from Kevin White. Another one that I'm kind of disappointed in is the tight end, Adam Shaheen. I heard so much about him, like catching everything that was thrown his way. And so far, after saying, okay, we're going to have Adam Shaheen here, he doesn't seem to be open, or at least our quarterbacks don't trust him enough to catch that ball. Tanner Gentry, which was undrafted, is getting more targets than Shaheen, and that's going to tell you something. Kendall Wright, I don't know. He doesn't look amazing. He looks like a what if. Who else? And that's it. I mean, Cameron Meredith as well came in. He did have a long of 18 yards, but there wasn't anything flashy. The only thing that I can say is that they're spreading the ball a lot more. They're not just focusing on one receiver, it's good to see. Let's move on to defense. Our defense, I think played a fairly good game. They did have a few fourth down kind of like touchdowns that went against them. I believe on the first one, I wrote it down here somewhere. Christian Jones was far too. He let the receiver kind of like shoot all the way at the end, and that was a easy one for. I want to say it was Blaine Gabbert, but it could have been. What's his name? Carson Palmer. So the defense overall, I don't. We were missing. Who were we missing? We were missing Akeem Hicks, Prince Amukamara, and that's pretty much it. Who we're missing, and I just thought we did a good job. We didn't allow huge plays. I mean, there was that. A few passes that that's going to happen. Quarterbacks and receivers are gonna hook up, or overall, as long as you keep the score down, I think that's worth it. And I believe we had Roy Robertson Harris had 2 sacks, which is good to see. I like to see sacks. BW Webb had an interception, so that was good to see as well. Moving on to Dow Loggains. I'm not. I don't know. This game was kind of like, it was weird in that when Glennon was there was a good mix of running and passing and this and that. Again, Glennon didn't look terribly great to me, but I just thought that you have to try to get our quarterbacks going on a rhythm, and that's going to open up our running game and vice versa. And I thought that we did a great job on that first preseason game. This preseason game, not so much. Although, we were moving the ball way better. I still want to see more. And I think Dow Loggains needs to clean that up a bit. Just kind of know what, and this goes back to just kind of know what kind of quarterback you have in there. If you have a statue like Mike Glennon, then you're going to just work from the pocket. If you don't, I think you want to use your quarterback's abilities to further your chances of actually doing something special and keeping the ball longer. You have to try. You can't be afraid to make that mistake. And you want to protect Mike Glennon's confidence, but he has to make better decisions. Throwing that interception to Kendall, I mean, I could have seen that coming. I saw it coming a mile away when it happened, and then he could have gotten himself hurt on top of that trying to make the tackle. Kind of reminded me of that one time where Jay Cutler broke his thumb making a tackle. So we have the Tennessee Titans coming up next week, and one of the things that I really want to see is Jordan Howard. I want to see Langford. I want to see the best offensive line that we can possibly put together, and I really want to see a solid performance from Mike Glennon. That's 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions so far, and I don't know, man. He just looks like every other quarterback that we've had in the Bears, and you just know he's going to make a mistake at some point. So he's had 26 attempts so far in the preseason. He's completed 15 of them for 109 yards. Compared to Mitchell Trubisky, which has had 33 attempts, he's completed his 24 of those for 226 yards. That's a completion rate of 72 to Mike Glennon's 57. And of course, Mitchell Trubisky's averaging 2 more yards, 6.8. Mike Glennon's averaging 4.2. No interceptions to Mike Glennon's 2 interceptions. So, now Mike Glennon has not taken a sack. I mean, he's had better protection. This game, I'm surprised that they left Mitchell Trubisky in the pocket for so long. That's not his game. And Mark Sanchez looked like he's kind of like a 50% kind of completion kind of guy so far. He's had 6 attempts, 3 completed. So that's exactly what I said, a rating of 62. So I really want to see Connor Shaw because he showed us something in Cleveland last year. And I would rather, and I know you're going 1, 2, 3, but I would rather go Glennon 1, Trubisky 2, Connor Shaw, because you know what you have in Mark Sanchez. And I believe I said it last time. If you want to coach, you hire him as a coach or as a special assistant advisor to the quarterback, if that's what you want. And yeah, I know you want him in that quarterback room, but that's what you got your quarterback coach for, and that's what you got Mike Glennon for. And I know Mike Glennon's going to try to be learning his things, and you just want another quarterback that is helpful. And I think, although he hasn't won anything, Connor Shaw knows the playbook a lot more, and I just think that he would have more input on how the season for the Bears goes. Mark a lot of it's made that Mark Sanchez made it to 2 conference championships, I don't know how much weight I put in that. I think there definitely is something to being a leader, but it is what it is. Now, special teams had its moments. We had that Deontay Thompson continues to impress, and he had that missed field goal return that he returned for 100 and let me see what I wrote down here. So 109. So Deontay Thompson continues to express, and so Deontay Thompson continues to impress. He had that missed field goal return that was 109 yards, and that was good to see. It was good to see special teams getting us better starting points for our offense. But then there was that mistake by Daniel Braverman at the end where they did an onside kick, and he couldn't secure it. Tanner Gentry also missed it, I believe, and that almost cost us the game. Now, I know I shouldn't be freaking out. It's preseason, so it is what it is. But I just think that you have to tighten that up before Game 3, and it's a good learning lesson for the young man. Coming out when they drafted Daniel Braverman, they said that he has some of the surest hands, and so far in his 2 seasons with the Bears, that hasn't come to light. So I'd be surprised if he makes this team. I don't know what his chances are, but I don't think he's going to make the team at all. So that was it. It was nothing special to report as far as, wow, excitement and all that stuff, because although I was excited to watch the game, there wasn't anything great that really popped out. I like Mitch Trubisky, and I like the fact that when there are days, because there's going to be days like that in the NFL where everything's just not, maybe the play calling is an issue, and that was the issue last year with Dowell Loggains. I wasn't a huge fan of Dowell Loggains, but after seeing the whole year and kind of what he had to work with, I was like, okay, well, I'm willing to give him a chance. But there are times where it's not balanced, like run to pass, and it's just like, what is he trying to call? What is he trying to do out there? Is he really putting his players in the best positions to win? And I understand we don't have the receivers to call some of these plays, but these guys are trying to make the team, and I would rather see you trying to explore maybe a certain play, and of course the quarterback maybe throwing to a certain area that could be a big type play than playing it conservatively and trying to make players like Mike Glennon look good. And again, not terribly impressed with Mike Glennon. I'm glad that he was able to get that touchdown and get his confidence going. We're going to need that if we definitely are going to leave him at quarterback for the whole season, which I think that's what's going to happen. I think it is going to be a Mitch Trubisky redshirt year, and then after that, if he does good, maybe he's a trade chip for another team, and we can possibly get a third rounder or something, depending on how Mike Glennon plays. But I don't see him being the long-term solution. The great part is we are starting out 1-1 for the preseason. It's our second game, 1 loss, 1 win. So it was good to see. It's good for morale. Now let's go on to the Tennessee Titans. This team looks like it's going to be a playoff contender. So let's see what we do against them, and then I'll be terribly impressed. Now the starters are going to go deep into maybe the third quarter, I'm thinking. So let's see what happens. Hopefully we get a chance to see no Mark Sanchez and more of Mitch Trubisky, and leave him in for that whole fourth quarter. And then that fourth preseason game, I'd like to see maybe Mark Sanchez to start out the game. Mitchell Trubisky comes in by the end of the first quarter, and then we see a little bit of Connor Shaw at the end just for cleanup. Of course, letting Mitch Trubisky kind of play the whole game. But anyway, this does it for today. Thank you guys so much for listening. Again, apologies for this being out so late. I did have a few things that I had to take care of, and I wasn't available till right now to actually record this. Anyway, till next time, bear down, and let's hope next week is much more exciting than this week. Take care.